Hi girls, my name is Danielle. Sarah asked me to share a little bit about myself and about what God has been teaching me, and so here it goes. First off, to introduce myself, I am a teacher, and I know some of you are probably like, no teachers before school, but I won't make this too painful. So a little background. I grew up in Colorado, grew up in a Christian family. I accepted Jesus when I was 6, and grew up, went to public school, junior high, high school, all the rough things that happen at school. And it was hard. It's hard to live for Jesus in school sometimes when you have friends who are doing their own thing and think and behave differently than what you think is right. But I had a good experience, and I followed Jesus at some times and I didn't at other times. But God provided for me to go to a wonderful Christian university after I graduated from high school down in southern Arkansas. He provided for me, and I went, and it was wonderful. I had a wonderful experience. I majored in history and I majored in education because I knew I wanted to be a teacher. But before I went down to college, a guy came to my church. He was a principal at a school down on the Navajo reservation in Arizona, and he was saying stuff about his school and saying how they needed teachers. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to be a teacher. And I've always had this love for Native American culture, and so I thought, oh, maybe I'll do that someday. In college, I remember praying about it for a little bit, and then I kind of forgot. But before my senior year of college, I went down there on a missions trip just to visit, and I just felt drawn to the place, kind of. And I remember praying about it my senior year, like, God, if you want me to go down to this reservation, all right, I will. But I was really hesitant. And I graduated from college, and I was applying for teaching jobs all over. And I just remember thinking, if I don't go to Arizona, if I don't go teach on the Navajo reservation, I'm going to regret that. And I remember saying to God, all right, I'll go. I'll go, and I'll trust that you'll provide for me. And so I went, and I moved all my stuff down to Arizona. I didn't know anyone, and it's kind of scary. But God provided. He provided everything I needed. He provided me to pay my bills. He provided food. He provided grace for me teaching. Even when I messed up in the classroom and messed up with dealing with people, God forgave me and allowed me to move on. And I just finished my second year of teaching. I teach junior high and high school history. Some of you probably like history, maybe, hopefully. Some of you probably hate it, but I love it. And I'm also a volleyball and a basketball coach. But this summer, with my walk with God, I've been reading through Matthew, and things have been hard the last 2 years, and I just really wanted to refocus this summer. And I've been reading through Matthew, and Sarah contacted me last week, I think, and told me about this, and I was like, oh, okay, and I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about, because it's what God has been teaching me, and I can kind of see Him teaching me throughout my whole experience down in Arizona. And it's about following Him. And Matthew is a big example of people following Him. There's examples of it throughout the whole book. Even the guy who wrote the book, Matthew, Jesus said, he came by him one day at his work and said, hey, follow me. And he dropped everything and went and followed him. So really crazy stories of how people just gave up everything and went and followed this man named Jesus. So I'm reading this book, and the idea of following keeps coming up. And wherever Jesus goes, crowds just follow him. And, he feeds 5,000 people, and he's healing people, and everyone's just following him because he's really popular and because he does some really cool things. And Jesus has these 12 really good friends that follow him. And it's interesting to think, Jesus was homeless, and he didn't have a place to stay, and he was really poor, but all these people were following him, and his disciples gave up everything, and they followed him. And maybe they were concerned about where their next meal was going to come from or how they were going to survive, but they followed him regardless of those fears. And that's a big example for me. And I was reading about Peter in Matthew 14. Peter, they're all in this boat and they see Jesus walking on the water, and Peter wants to follow Jesus so much, he jumps out of the boat into the sea. Ridiculous. What are you thinking? And he jumps out and he walks on water, following Jesus, and it's just absurd. And it was a good picture to me, man, Jesus wants you to jump out of the boat and follow him, even when it's ridiculous. And he will provide. He won't let you drown. And so that was a big picture for me. Then later in Matthew 16, Jesus talks about, deny yourself, stop thinking about yourself, pick up your cross and follow him. And, something that's not pleasant, you guys all know about crucifixion probably. And Jesus is saying, following me is going to be hard. You're going to have to deny yourself and your ego, and you're going to have to follow him. And then in chapter 19, this is something that I've been thinking about. It's about the rich young ruler, is what it's known as. But he comes to Jesus, and he's, I'm going to read a little bit for you. Matthew 19:16. Just then a man came up to Jesus and asked, "Teacher, what good thing must I do to get eternal life?" And Jesus replies, "Why do you ask me about what is good? There is only one who is good. If you want to enter life, keep the commandments." "Well, which ones?" he inquired. Jesus replied, "You shall not commit murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not give false testimony, honor your father and mother, and love your neighbor as yourself." "All these I have kept," the young man said. "What do I lack?" Jesus answered, "If you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me." When the young man heard this, he went away sad because he had great wealth. And this made me think, was Jesus saying you have to follow these things to get eternal life? No. His point was, you need to get rid of whatever is holding on to you, whatever's keeping you from following me, get rid of it. In this case, it was the wealth for the young man. And he was sad. He didn't want to, because that was going to be hard. And this has been teaching me, what in my life do I not want to get rid of? What in my life is keeping me from following Jesus? And that is what I need to get rid of. So for you, whether that's your friends who are pressuring you to do all these things, and you're like, you know what? That's not important compared to following Jesus. Whether it's having fun. I know I teach high school. Having fun is really important sometimes, and that might be keeping you from following Jesus. For me, I've been really struggling with this summer, and it's something that I've been praying about, God, what do you want me to get rid of? And I will do. Kind of scary, but with Peter jumping out of the boat, God didn't let him drown. It'll be good. These disciples following him for 3 years with being homeless, it was hard. A lot of them were killed for that, but it was good. And so that's my encouragement for you. And I'll be praying for you guys, and I don't even know you, but I'll be praying for you guys. All right, so thanks. Bye.